Our first keynote for the event is the co-founder and CEO of Sigrid Therapeutics AB. With a diverse experience in business development and management within the life science industry, her prior positions include Head of Business Development for Drug Delivery at Nanologica, Business Development Manager at a venture capital firm, Serendipity Innovations Group, and Project Manager for the Swedish-American Life Science Summit. Today, she speaks about prevention, the future of healthcare. Please extend a warm welcome to Ms. Sana Alajmovic.
Ćao svima, drago mi da sam ovdje s vama. Ja sam porijeklom iz Olova, ali živim sad u Švedskoj ima već preko 30 godina. I sad ću pričat na engleskom. Hi everyone, my name is Sana Alajmovic and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sigrid Therapeutics. Sigrid is a female Viking name. It means beautiful victory. And the beautiful victory we at Sigrid are aspiring to achieve is to prevent people from developing chronic lifestyle diseases such as type 2 diabetes and obesity. In Sweden, we talk about vision zero in the traffic, meaning that no one should die or be severely injured in the traffic. So we at Sigrid, we thought, well, why don't we have the same vision, but for chronic lifestyle diseases, such as type 2 diabetes and obesity? No one should die in these diseases. And this is a very personal subject matter to me, because this is my father, Sigrid Alajmovic, and I grew up with him being diagnosed as a pre-diabetic. He was told by his doctors that he was at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Do you know what type 2 diabetes is? How many? Okay, yeah. So basically it's known as the sugar disease, meaning you have too much sugar in your blood and that damages your tissues, your vessels and your organs. So if you don't stop it or manage it, you will either develop full-blown type 2 diabetes or heart disease or stroke. You might even go blind or risk amputations. So the doctor told my dad, Mr. Alajmovic, I don't have anything to give you, but he sent him home and told him to adopt a healthier lifestyle. 5 years later, my dad was back at the doctor's office, having failed to implement a healthier lifestyle. Then the doctor told him, oh, Mr. Alajmovic, you have type 2 diabetes. Now we have tons of drugs to give you to treat you. And this was my first interaction with the broken healthcare system, where we focus more on managing disease than preventing it. But the principle of prevention, it's not something new. So already 500 years ago, a Dutch philosopher called Desiderius Erasmus, he coined the term prevention is better than cure. Fast forward 500 years later, and this old truth has never been more urgent. Because today, more than 50% of the world population, that is more than 4 billion people worldwide, are living with a chronic lifestyle disease. To a large extent, these diseases are preventable, and 70% of global healthcare costs are being spent on preventable diseases. It is basically a ticking public healthcare bomb, which is not sustainable. So what are some of these diseases then? Well, besides diabetes, it's cancers, it's heart disease, it's mental disorders such as depression, strokes, and so on. And all of them are projected to increase drastically in the next coming decade. I think my Okay, maybe I'm... It is living its own life. But anyways, we all know what we need to do to live a healthier lifestyle, right? We need to sleep better, because that's when our whole body rejuvenates. We need to stress less, because stress causes inflammation. We need to get active, move more, and we need to eat healthier. So yes, that means less chavapi and pita. And funnily enough, 80% of weight loss actually happens in the kitchen. It's not in the gym. Yet, over 90% of people fail to implement a healthier lifestyle. Now, we can't just dismiss 4 billion people as being lazy, right? So what is really at play here? Okay, guys. Well, we are biologically hardwired. We are basically Stone Age hunter-gatherers who are used to being out on the savannas, days without food. So we store excess fat and calories. Our whole reward system is giving us pleasure every time we eat sweet and sugary food. So we are hardwired to fail in the obesogenic environment we have created for ourselves, with excess calories, constant technological input, and little movement. So sometimes I say that, yes, it is possible to take the human out from the Stone Age, but it's not possible to take the Stone Age out of the human. However, in every story where there is a villain, there's also a hero. And I'm very happy to report on some of the positive preventive health forces sweeping across the globe. First, we have technological advances. So today, there are numerous tools which you can use to help track your health, monitor, and also early disease detection. So if we take diabetes as an example, there is today patches called glucose monitoring, which can measure in real time your blood sugar levels. And now recently, researchers have also developed, using AI models, a smart algorithm which you can take any iPhone camera, scan yourself, and it will be able to predict whether or not you'll be getting diabetes in 5 years, just by measuring the blood flow in your face. Now, what needs to be done is for our healthcare systems to incorporate these digital tools and also to make them more affordable and accessible to the masses. We have also tougher regulations. So this is Mexico. And in Mexico, every third person is obese. And the government simply had to do something. So they are now using black boxes as warning signs on products which are carrying too much fat or sugar or salt. And in Sweden's neighboring country, Norway, we have seen a sugary tax on confectionery candy and on soda drinks. And Norway has now seen the lowest sugar consumption in 44 years. But companies are not waiting for governments to drive preventive healthcare. They are also taking action. Everywhere from Japan to US, companies are actually motivating their employees to sleep more, because they know employees who have slept better are not only more productive, more creative, they're also more pleasant to work with. And they're using this by giving them Fitbits, which measure their sleep, and connecting this to their company's wellness platform program. So, what are we at Sigrid Therapeutics doing? First, let me give you a brief background on Sigrid. We're a consumer-centric company. We have over 13 years of research and development behind us in understanding and developing complex biomaterials to improve human health. We have 15 patents, which means that these are granted patents across the globe. It's not only patent applications. We have 66 publications in international peer-reviewed journals on our research and 3 clinical studies. One of them that is going on right now is actually the world's second largest pre-diabetes trial in commercial setting. We have raised 17 million euros in private capital, and we are collaborating with numerous organizations and leading institutions across the world. So what we developed is an oral gel. It has a perfectly tasty flavor of peach, and you take it together with your food. And really, it's a white powder made out of silica. But if you were to zoom in this powder, you would see it contains nanopores. So with the use of nanotechnology, we're able to trap in your gut digestive enzymes, which are proteins that break down your complex carbohydrates and fats. So every time you're having a meal, if you take our gel together with your meal, you would see that less energy is taken up from the food. And what does this ultimately do? Well, it reduces your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and your body weight. And the beauty of this is we're using a natural mineral, silica, which is not absorbed into your bloodstream, only works locally in your gut and leaves your body naturally with the food. Now, we've also done a clinical study, as I mentioned, and in our previous clinical studies, what we have seen is that if we compare our product with metformin, which is a type 2 diabetes drug, our product in pre-diabetics, like my father was once, was twice as good in half the time in reducing long-term blood sugar. And this reduction has been shown to reduce the incidence of type 2 diabetes with over 31%. So, if my father would have gotten Cypor 21 in time, he might have not developed type 2 diabetes at all, or at worst, it would have been much more delayed, and he would have had more healthy years. I love this slide because I think it shows the ingenuity of humankind. Guys, just look at this. You know, global life expectancy, if you take it the last 10,000 years, has gone up from 25 years to over 70 years now, globally. So we are living longer than ever. And this is thanks to science and technology. But isn't it ironic then that we are finding ourselves living longer only to be managing chronic lifestyle diseases? And I think all of us that are here today, you as future leaders in this region, the movers and shakers, you have an opportunity to help us raise awareness about disease prevention. Only in Bosnia, 9.1% of people risk developing type 2 diabetes. Because ultimately, what it's all about, it's not only extending lifespan, but also extending healthy lifespan. Because in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Thank you so much.
We have a Q&A. Thank you for the fantastic speech, Sana. I personally was fully focused, fully attentive, which is quite rare. I am sure there are many questions as well, especially given the topic, and we can move on to the Q&A. We have about 10 minutes designated for it. So are there any questions in the audience?
Thank you, Sana, for the great presentation. So my question to you is, where's your company based, and have you ever worked with obstetricians and basically with pregnant women? Because there is known that when you are pregnant, there is high possibility to get diabetes and hypertension.
Thank you for this very relevant question. This young, beautiful lady is talking about gestational diabetes. And she's absolutely right that the risk of blood sugar increase comes if you're pregnant, especially if you are not careful with what you eat during pregnancy. We have considered that for our product. Why? Because today you cannot give these women a drug, because it might affect the fetus. And our product can be valuable for them because it's not absorbed into the bloodstream, but works locally in the gut. And we are based in Stockholm, in Sweden.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, Nina?
First, I want to say thank you, Sana, for an incredible presentation. And I was wondering, can this medicine be used for people who already developed type 2 diabetes?
I love the questions here, and they're coming from strong women. I can see that. Indeed, it can, because as I said, when I started building Sigrid, everyone was telling me, just focus on diabetes. Who cares about pre-diabetes? Who cares about prevention? People don't care about a disease, you know, if they're... It's like a bit like with smoking, which I think you're familiar in this country with. You know, people think that it will happen to someone else, or I will deal with that problem later. I only care about now. Remember our biological reward system. But my vision was bigger than that, because the prevention is where we can save costs. The prevention is where we can really make a huge change. So I made a bet 5 years ago that we were going to focus on prevention. And I think that COVID accelerated that. A lot of people are now working much more, you know, immune health, boosting their immune health. And I think more and more, as I showed you, insurance companies or companies giving their employees health checks for free are going to work towards a preventative society. So it works in diabetics. We've included diabetics in our trial. But I want our first product to focus on prevention, and that's why we are, positioning it as such. Long reply.
So we're having more questions.
All right. Hi, Sana. Thank you for your presentation. So basically, I was just wondering, like any, let's say, medical field product based to help people, what is the kind of research based on like the long-term effects of your product? Since that's like a, let's say, a big issue for this kind of industry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Most of the studies can last years. Because this is not a drug, but a medical device, we are not required to do as extensive clinical trial programs. But we've only done studies for 3 months. And the product is intended to be taken with food for 3 months, and then your blood sugar will go down. And obviously, we're always pushing for lifestyle changes. So our hope is that you will not need a product after that. But if you decide that you still want to use a product because you are not able to make those lifestyle changes, then the product has such a huge safety that you will be able to do so. However, we will be needing to do more trials to confirm that it's safe, you know, longer than 3 months. But when you build a company, you build it right, minimum viable product first. So you start by getting it out there, and then you can continue the research even after the product is on the market. And this is called post-market studies.
There was another hand somewhere to the right, near the, there we go.
Okay, thank you. First a statement, then a question. Statement, I love the shirt. It brings a touch of spring in otherwise chilly Sarajevo. Yes. The question is, as a part of my master thesis, it was about productivity and the change of it during the change circumstances in the COVID times. within the population of students. And now, as you mentioned, market research, the pattern that I saw as the rates of education and money, like buying power, was higher. People were less prone to be obese, which is kind of a paradox. You would think we have more money, so we would spend more and eat more, but it's the other way around. And now the question is, you mentioned you have been living in Sweden for the majority of your life. How present is education from early on nutrition in the curriculum, or how omitted is it? And can you draw some comparison within the schooling system promoting those ideas between Bosnia and Sweden? Thank you in advance.
Wow. Yeah, very, very good question again. And yes, so let me tell you something. Prevention has to start early, just like you said, in kindergarten. And I didn't know that they started so early until I became a mother and got a son, Arvid, 2 years old. And I come to his kindergarten and I bring a bomboniera to his teachers and to his class because I want to be nice and I want to thank them for taking care of my kid. And he's 2 years old. And they said to me, "Thank you, Sana, but we can't accept this." And I said, "I've done something." No sugar is allowed in preschool. You know. So yeah, and I was like, good luck telling that to his Bosnian grandparents. Yes, so obviously they start very early. But let me tell you, this is not this is a problem of industrial world. In Sweden, half of children are overweight. And the reason is because it's a very digitalized society. What do? Sit and play games all day long. So Sweden has equally these, I was checking statistics yesterday. So Bosnia has 9.1 in diabetes prevalence. Sweden has 5. Germany has 11. And if you look at United Arab Emirates, they have 20%.
I actually have 2 questions. First one is, how do you navigate let's say, finances in a pharmaceutical world where the majority of money is focused on profit, and if there's no disease, there's no profit? Is like, how do you sell that idea that the prevention would bring more profit than actually curing the actual disease? And my second question is, I don't know how much you've dwelled into the children's psychology about restrictive diets, but I'm somebody who had a restrictive diet when I was a child. So I had a lot of problems, like having a good relationship with food is something that I've been treated for. So do you think that it could maybe bring some benefits or some disadvantages if you try to implement this in children?
Thank you for also having such a personal question and for sharing that story to begin with. So how do you navigate if you're a very vision-driven founder, right? You're thinking about the vision and you bring in investors and they're thinking about the money too. Sana, when is the money going to come in and when will we start making money? And the trick here is really, I didn't show that, but 500 million people have pre-diabetes. That's that's a lot of people. So there's a huge market potential there. And if you can show that in some instances, there are some occupation, pilots, truck drivers, where, it's critical for them not to get diabetes. A pilot in China is not allowed to have diabetes. They might lose their license if they get it. So I think the trick is finding that target audience that is willing, that has the most huge unmet medical need, that is willing to pay. And then, so that's what we've done at Sigrid. We've identified some key target audiences where we can enter the market. And then eventually, maybe then we can collaborate with, as I said, insurance companies. In Sweden, what is happening now in Stockholm region is that Skandia, an insurance company, and the Stockholm city, a bit like here, Sarajevo city, has realized they have too many pre-diabetics. So they are giving every pre-diabetic now a check on 3,000 euros a year, and they can choose any services, food, anything they like from a marketplace that can help them prevent from getting type 2 diabetes. So there are these trends I talked about, cultural shifts across the world, where actually people are moving, institutions are moving towards prevention, and we think this is going to come even more. You build a company not for today, you build a company for the future and what's going to come for the future. Second, on this restrictive diet, I give my son some sugar in the weekends, I do, because I think speaking to my advisory board in nutritional experts, and you know what they say, having studied all metadata on everything that's available, you can eat anything in moderation, even sugar.
Okay, next up.
So, hello. First of all, I see a lot of people thanking you for your presentation. Of course, thank you for that. But personally, I would like to thank you for the vision that you had. Because even though a lot of people experience very similar thing as you did and as your father did, a lot of them will just let's say, forget about it or move on with their lives, but you definitely had some different plans and ideas, and your story really resonated with me because I have pretty much the same experience as that. My father also has type 2 diabetes, and he's taking actively 2 different types of insulins on a daily basis. Additionally, I'm the one that is also at higher risk than my siblings for either type A or type 2 diabetes too. So my kind of like question regarding this was, I'm guessing that your product is still based in Sweden or in like Scandinavian countries. Do you have any plans on expanding globally, and especially in the Balkan region, where kind of like this healthcare or even like prevention of certain diseases can come as something that people will not really care about, because I do not have that disease yet, so I should not care until I actually get the disease. So that is kind of like the mentality that I often see, and like a thought pattern that happens to be very present in the Balkan region. So do you have any plans for expanding, not just globally, but like specifically to this region? And if you do you think that you could possibly, that your product could possibly change the way people here, particularly in Balkan area, think about health and prevention?
Very good question again. First of all, yes, the product is ready. We've actually just completed a pre-launch program now with 200 people, and we will be doing e-commerce next year. And one of the reasons is because to make it more accessible so anyone in the world can buy. So that's the reason for going e-commerce, and doesn't matter where you live. And I think e-commerce is an excellent opportunity also for you here, if you want to build any companies, to sell something through e-commerce. So that's one thing we're doing. Do I think it can help? I do, but I also think that when you launch a product like this, so 90% of pre-diabetics, they don't know they have pre-diabetes. They are not aware of it, as you said. So there needs to be a degree of education and information. And that's what we're trying to do at Sigrid through our social media, through Facebook, through LinkedIn. And I think that's what we need to do more of. And I think this region, Bosnia is my home country. It holds a special heart, a place for me. And I definitely see that in the not long to distant future, I want to make the product available here as well.
Thank you so much, Sana. So sadly, we're out of time for questions, but
Can I just say also
yes.
thank you? I'm so sorry about me being technologically not so savvy today. And I just want to thank you for being brave and asking these questions, for the smiles and nodding when I was holding my speech. And I'm just I'm just so hopeful when I see you out there like this. So thank you.